Now, Ecuador's president, meanwhile, has some harsh words for the United States. Senior international correspondent Matthew Chance joins us now from Quito in Ecuador. Mr. Carrera, now talking about the US using blackmail, Matthew.
Yeah, the Ecuadorian president, Rafael Correa, really ramping up his defiance of Washington over this issue of the whistleblower Edward Snowden, saying that the country is going to walk away from its preferential trading rights in the United States because of threats that have come out of the US over recent days that if Ecuador gives Snowden political asylum, then it should be punished. Speaking on national television here in Ecuador, President Correa said that his country would make a decision on asylum regardless of any US pressure like that. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Frente a la amenaza, insolencia,
in the face of threats, insolence and arrogance of certain US sectors which have pressurized to remove the preferential tariffs because of the Snowden case, Ecuador tells the world, we unilaterally and irrevocably denounce the preferential tariffs. Our dignity has no price.
Well, despite those defiant words, it's also emerged today from Ecuadorian officials that so far Ecuador has not processed the asylum application of Edward Snowden. They say it's because he hasn't yet reached an Ecuadorian territory, either a diplomatic mission or the country itself. They also confirm, or rather deny, that they've issued any kind of travel documents to Edward Snowden. There had been speculation that he'd been given sort of emergency refugee status by the Ecuadorians and issued a travel document like that. They say they did not authorise the issuing of that document. Any document he has which says that is not valid. And so that, Andrew, may be one of the reasons why, we believe at least, Edward Snowden remains holed up in that Moscow airport and has not yet travelled here to Ecuador.
All these actions by Ecuador, particularly this criticism of the US, Matthew, just how big a risk is it for Ecuador, given the importance of their trade with the US?
Well, I think that issue of the trade status is very important indeed. Now, we're talking here about a particular agreement that was reached some decades ago with Ecuador, this sort of Andean free trade pact, as it was called. That was due to expire in July anyway, and I think the expectation was that it wasn't going to be renewed anyway. And so it seems that the Ecuadorians have seized the initiative. But yes, in general, the United States is the most important market for Ecuadorian goods, like petroleum products, like bananas, like shrimps, like flowers, like coffee and cocoa beans. All of these things that the Ecuadorian economy is heavily dependent upon rely for the majority of their market on the United States. And so it's a very risky gamble, granting asylum like this potentially to Edward Snowden, potentially incurring the wrath and possibly economic sanction from the United States. It could be very destructive for the Ecuadorian economy.